Hey guys, Gabriel from Banprestos today, and today I have another DXF figure for you. This is a prize figure released in 2015 by Banpresto. Obviously, from this Crane King, you can see it's actually one of the ones they would put into the Crane games in Japan. So the box is actually quite small. It's about the size of my hand. So, released for Boruto the movie again by Banpresto in their DXF line, which is a huge line of Naruto figures, sort of on a cheaper sort of prize figure, range. So the details are not great, but you can get them quite cheap, and some of them are quite good. I've chose this one in particular because it's the only one we've got his hokage cloak and his hat featured, and I wanted one of those for the collection. And of course we also have authentication sticker, and the box is very plain. It's just pictures of the figure. We've got the Sasuke meant to go together in a set, and the face again, and that's kind of it. We've got some text on the top. It says Shinobi Relations there, and all our warnings on the bottom. So I'm going to open them up and we'll take a closer look. So he's back, and he actually comes in 3 pieces: the hat, the head, no, 4 pieces: the hat, the head, and the base, and the main body. And it's actually quite a fiddly piece to put together. The pegs are quite thin and rubbery, so they bend a lot, so forcing them in is one of those scary moments you have. But it all went together fair enough. There's nothing too complicated about it. Just be careful, especially with the hat. The wrist implement that you put in is very thin, so be careful. Make sure you put it the right way. Just check your pegs, and it should be fine. And obviously, my first complaint with any DXF figure is the bases are ridiculously big. Although I like plain black bases, this, like the other DXF figure, is just ridiculously big and awkward in size. But honestly, that's my main complaint about all DXF figures. But when you think about the price and you look at what else you get, it's not too bad. I want to say the hair is almost identical to the hair sculpt we saw on the Boruto figure, again from Banpresto, the more recent one, the one from the series as opposed to the one they made for the movie. Done very cleanly, each hair sort of chunk sculpted quite well, and it gives an overall decent look. I think the colour's quite vibrant, and there's not much shading to it. That's another sort of cost you get for buying a cheaper figure. Is obviously the shading's not great. The camera, because of the light, is giving you a bit more shading on each of these sort of raised bit of a jacket, but it's a very flat orange. And the hat is a very dark sort of red, almost sort of brown, which is also slightly disappointing. I would have liked to see it match the red of his cloak, as the hat itself in the anime is bright red. But again, unlike the other DXF figure, obviously the orange isn't great, and we have some sort of paint errors and just lack of neatness. But we do have some shading on the back of the pants, which is quite well done. Now, the most important bit to me is the cloak done well, and all in all, the sculpt of the cloak done quite well. This, again, there's sort of some paint sort of washing and fading on some of these areas on the red highlights, but the text is all done very cleanly. It doesn't look like a transfer, although I think the chances are it probably is, but it's got a matte finish, so it looks alright. And again, on the hat, the symbol's done just fine. There's some scratching, but the line work on my hat is actually quite neat, going around the edges. So that's pretty much the summary of what he is. He's sort of a very generic sort of middle of the road paint job with not much highlighting and shading, with a bit of bleed which sort of brings it down for me. But overall, as a sort of cheap Naruto figure, it's quite nice. So I'm going to do some size comparisons and then we'll give overall thoughts. The height of this guy from the bottom of his base to the top of his head is pretty much 17 centimeters bang on. The width of the base is also 17 centimeters, like on the other DXF figure. The width of the figure itself, from the widest point of the edge of the cape to the edge of the hat, is about 9.5 centimeters. Our depth of the base is about 9 centimeters, 10 centimeters at a push. And the depth of the figure is pretty much the back of this cloak to the front of the hat is just about 5 centimeters. Here he is on a delve shelf by himself. Here he is next to 1/8 Jotaro Kujo. Here he is next to 1/6 Jotaro Kujo. And here he is next to the other DXF Naruto that I have. So I've brought my other DXF Naruto over just because I feel like it's worth doing a comparison, as they were both pretty much the same price. This one's actually a bit cheaper, but just looking side by side you can see the shading on this one's done far better. The hair sculpt is, I think, more intensive. We have the bandana coming off, and overall I think the package of this figure is better. And considering it's in the same range, I don't think it's good enough at this figure within the range. especially for the same character, can be better than this one. I think this figure is worth a sort of average middle of the road score, where it's let down by its lack of shading in a lot of areas, the colour variation here, and the bleeding in a lot of the areas. But if you're like me and you're very much into Naruto and you want to fill out your collection, he's an alright, again, average figure to get in the middle of the road, so I'm not at the low price range, so I'd recommend for you hardcore fans. But for you who are just wanting to pick up a Naruto or just a Hokage Naruto, I don't know, maybe wait out for a new one or maybe skip this one altogether. But those are my overall thoughts. Incredibly average, but it will round out your collection if you're looking for that Hokage with hat, full ceremonial kind of thing. So sort of it's a judgment call for you, but I'm fairly happy with it considering the price. It'll just go into my collection, sort of fill in that gap. So thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.